Welcome everybody to the Fall Line with Chaos and Company. I'm Dave Capron. I'm here with my partner on the podcast, Angelo Ross. Hey, Angelo, how's it going?
Good. Hey,
good.
I'm going to put a plug in.
Yes, go for it.
My first plug in 36 episodes. We have a proper grassroots telemark scene, Southwestern Pennsylvania. And these guys and gals have been working hard to bring back a festival called Telepalooza. That was a big hit for a lot of years. January 8th and 9th at Seven Springs. You can get details on telemarker.org, not telemarketer. That would take you to an entirely different website, but telemarker.org. But great festival, 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, January 8 and 9. Kurt Burns is the spearhead on that. Mike Mayer also runs Appalachian Telemark Association, and to honor the legacy of the grandfather of Southwestern Pennsylvania Telemark, Jim Capp. So it's worth a trip to ski at Seven Springs for those couple of days. Get details
J Nation
on the website.
Should be there, right?
And J Nation will be there. Oh, and matter of fact, Keith Rodney and Jim Shaw will both be in attendance. Yeah, big event.
Awesome.
Big event.
That's great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt we'd have more of our Eastern Ed staff might hit that. We're finishing up with our staff training right before that, and I bet some people are heading down there to get down there with Jay and Jim and Rodney. So that'll be good.
Spread
awesome.
The word. Spread the good word.
That'll be good, huh?
Yeah.
Spend enough time at the Foggy Goggle at Seven Springs. The saying will hold true that free your heel and land on your face.
Oh, and then those telly guys roll you out to the parking lot for caviar and aquavit, and then who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh my God, the aquavit! You got to get the aquavit from Iceland, though. I brought home some aquavit from Iceland. That's good stuff. I'll bring that down to you, Angelo.
If you run out, you can just get some turpentine at the hardware store.
Oh, that's pretty much what a lot of it is. A lot of that stuff is just turpentine. But but we are here tonight, and you maybe listen during the day, whenever. But it's dark now while we're recording, and we are here with Michael Rogan, the coach of the Alpine team for PSIA, AASI, and they just finished their one-team training last week. And we're just wondering how it went, and what did all of you guys and gals and crew out there focus on, Michael?
Well, first of all, it's really good to be here, and I hope that Telly event goes big. I mean, Greg Dixon and Jim Shaw and Keith Rodney, are doing a great job in the Telly discipline, and it'd be great to see Telly gain some foothold. That would be really good if it was grow. So here, good to you, and hopefully that event goes well with plenty of snow.
Yep. Thanks, Coach.
I hope so.
Yeah. Dave, look, it's good to be with you guys again. Seems like it's been a while. But yes, we just got back from a week in Summit County where we stayed in Keystone and then skied at Arapahoe Basin, A Basin. Thank you very much for the hospitality, Gates Lloyd and the folks at Arapahoe Basin. But, every team training is a little bit different from the things that you have to prepare for, or the initiatives that you're looking at working on or implementing or helping take place throughout the country, and a little bit of our own message. This being the first year of a new team, and a team that is short by a year because of our world health issues. We're a little bit under the gun. We did a little bit of work after the tryouts last spring in Breckenridge. We had a couple of days, thanks to all of the membership dues and those things, and Nick setting the money aside, and Jeb and Dave Schuling, making sure it could happen. But we spent a little bit of time there in Breckenridge, just getting to know each other, starting to get the groundwork of how to communicate about skiing, how to communicate about things that you encounter on the road, or you could encounter on the road. Just kind of, it's not onboarding or orientation, but getting people feeling comfortable in their skin. It's an amazing dynamic. And I can remember Sean Smith saying to me, look, yesterday when you weren't named to the Alpine team or the Nordic team or the cross country team or the snowboard team or the adaptive team, you were who you were, and 24 hours has gone by, and we've asked you to be a part of this. and you've said yes, but you're still who you are. And sometimes that being named to our national team or any national body for that matter can wake people out a little bit, both from the people that are dealing with it and the reaction of the folks that didn't get named or were close or can't wait to ski with X, Y, or Z person. So a little bit of that time is just spending time getting to know each other. So we spent, Matt Boyd and I, as the coaches, looked at the rooming list and paired people up based on some similarities and some differences, just to get people comfortable chatting. You got the Flynn brothers from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, or Zoe Mavis. You don't, Kevin Jordan, you don't know those people. You've been in clinics with them. But it's gone from a kind of a clinician clinicer taker to a peer role. And that dynamic can change a little bit. It was for me when I made the team for the first time in '96 with Scott Mathers and Bob Barnes and Jay Evans. And I had a little bit better connection with the people I made the team with: Rob Stogard, Terry Barber, Murmur Blakesley, Megan and Katie, Carl Lunderkuffler, so there's just this dynamics that you just got to kind of balance out and even out and get everybody feeling comfortable in their skin and understanding that they don't have to have all the answers right away. And just, dealing with the fact that sometimes you put a national team patch on a jacket and you give that jacket to that person and it can get tight and constrictive and heavy. And that's undue pressure. There's plenty of pressure to perform when we're out on the road giving clinics to do our best. Creating undue pressure is really unnecessary. So a lot of time was spent there.
That's cool. So, when you get into the meet, after because I think it's neat that you kind of get into getting to know each other and get that bond and kind of build some trust before you start going, hey, maybe you want to do this in your skiing. Yeah. Are there specific focuses as you move through the week of training for certain people? Is there one focus for the team? With last year's tryout, I imagine there's some thoughts on individuals and also the team focus. I'm just wondering how the balance is there.
Yeah. So a couple of things took place. We used synchronized skiing as a vehicle to start to understand how each other think and relate about skiing. And by making it about synchronized skiing and a couple of specific targets within that, for example, making sure that everybody found the fall line at the same time. So we were in groups of 4, but we worked in smaller groups in pairs of 2. And you spent the first day following and leading your partner around. And the only goal was to hit the fall line at the same time with your outside ski. And it was interesting because in making that cue, here we go, we're going to get into something. Angelo's licking his chops here. By instead of internaling how I'm performing and how I want to do, and everybody kind of gets in their own head on the first day, we set a goal of hit the fall line at the same time with your outside ski. And don't worry about anything else. And by setting that type of a target, you kind of get outside of your own head and you just worry about getting to that spot. And as a result of that, it was really interesting how people talked about feeling more comfortable on their skis sooner. And maybe it was just because we didn't give each other a chance to get into our own head and I should slow it down and I should do this and I need to make a couple of these and I need to do this drill and this exercise to feel this body part. You just said get your ski to the fall line at the same time. Forget about the width of the quarter even. We won't even worry about that. Just hit the fall line at the same time together. And then we'll add on to that as the week went on. And we did. And we once we got comfortable finding the fall line together, hopefully we found it in a row. And then we started to set corridor widths, and the groups would define their corridor width and start to to play with that. We talked about distance from people. Sometimes you can get so close that you forget about your skiing, and sometimes you get so far away that you can ski well, but it doesn't even look like you're skiing with somebody. So trying to find that sweet spot vertically and side to side. And as a result of that kind of stuff, the conversations then came up about transition and how long it was, or how short it was, or how quick people were to turn their ski versus let the ski go out and then come back, or if they were quick to twist the ski. That's a conversation that we had a bunch of teams ago as to whether you were inherently somebody who tipped their ski and tried to get it to bend, or if you were somebody who twisted your ski to change the radius. And you could find people that when you asked them that question and you put twisters together or tippers together, it was really easy to find the fall line together. Whereas if you had somebody who was a tipper and a twister, then there was more conversation that went on. So we'd flip flop around and you'd find twisters or tippers or what have you, and just expand the conversation about how you look at it. How are you trying to accomplish either going slower into the fall line or faster into the fall line, or stay in the fall line a little bit longer? Those types of conversations would then happen. And then you would, then the discussions on the chair would become, a little technical. I hold off on using the term dirt because for the longest time, I really never understood it, to be quite honest. But I started to understand it more watching these guys and gals ski and looking at their transition and looking how fast they were into the fall line, or slow into the fall line, or into it and out of it. And it was really interesting, what took place. And we ended up talking about, can you be consistent? One, and turns out it's hard to be consistent in your skiing. You think you are, but if you only ski by yourself or at your own pace in your own lines, it's really easy to be consistent with you, but not with somebody else. Consistent enough so somebody can follow you. And then two, predictable. Are your movements predictable? Can you go into a turn and I follow Jonathan Ballou and go, yeah, I know what Jonathan's going to do here, so I know that he's predictable. Or I hop behind Dusty Dyer or Ann Shorling, and we can start to be consistent in what you do, so that you can be predictable in your transitions, so that you can hit the fall line together, and then we start to talk about corridors. And in doing that, great conversations took place about how you move through transition, how you get to the fall line. Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it faster than me? Is it slower than me? Can I speed up? Do you need to slow down? Those types of conversations. But it was all done, and this is over the course of last year and the summertime, and all of the talk about queuing. And if you haven't heard the names Nick Winkleman or Nadine Dubin or Dr. Wolf and Luthwaite, and optimal learning and internal versus external cueing and Nick Winkleman's language of coaching, you need to pay attention to these podcasts more, because it's all over this place. And it's really great information. And we were able to establish some external goals that people just went that way, and we didn't get in our own head. And as a result of that, our skiing started to progress pretty quickly. Well, that was long-winded. Is that what you're looking for, Dave? Something like that?
Yeah, it was because
that was his next three questions.
Yeah, there you go. No, it gets me into, before I unleash Angelo, because I know he's getting excited, like you said, and I want him to unleash. I was curious because I was watching some of the videos and stuff being put out. Jeb put some stuff out, and I can't remember who put this video out, but they had.
Who knew Jeb was going to be a social media icon?
I know, my God, he all of a sudden flipped the switch this year.
Great. It's great.
Yeah. But somebody I think Greg Dixon put it out, a video of one of the Flynn brothers. I'm not sure which one it was, in front of Keith Rodney. Yep. Keith was coming down, and they were doing some of that following each other and synchro type stuff. And how much did you put the team, with the other disciplines and mix it up like that? Was that something that was part of this thought process you did? And I'm just curious if that was still the same technical focus when you had the crew doing that together?
So no is the answer. Yeah, we didn't do it specifically. That being said, the tele guys started to pick up on it. The snowboarders started to pick up on it. I mean, there is this event next year looming over us called Interski, and we have decided to be better at the stuff that we normally don't do as much of, like the synchronized skiing, the formation skiing, because we've found that is our best way to get a toehold to drive other conversations. We're never going to be the Swiss team that live together and live all within the same valley of Switzerland. It's not going to take place. That is their job as demo team members, is to go to different ski resorts and do night shows. That's just not going to. I don't foresee that taking place for us. But it's really good to have conversations with the Swiss about skiing and ski technique and ski teaching. And we've tried it by going, no, that's not what we do. And now we're going to try it by going, it was started with Rob Sogard as the coach, saying, look, if we're going to be here, let's be here and let's get better at it. So we're going to work at it more and more and more. But the different disciplines, we started to do it right from the get-go, and the other disciplines saw and then jump in, and you put a group of highly motivated folks, really good at their job, and slightly competitive. Before you know it, it becomes, let's try this, let's try that. Where can we switch it up? Where can it be interesting? And that's when, towards the end of the week, Keith Rodney and George or Bart Flynn, start to get into it. And then it's just fun to see who's capable of what.
Yeah. That was fun to watch that video. And I know K-Rod he wanted to stay right there in his tail.
Yep, for sure. So,
Angelo, go ahead, man. I know you got something. We're talking external cues and in the coaching model here. I think this is neat to see how the team, was trying to get a conversation going and watching each other, and just took like a focus, not even like work on this thing. It was see how, if you all could do it the same, consistency and predictability. And I know you got some stuff good.
I think it's cool that you practice what you preach, and I chuckled because last Saturday I taught a full day anatomy webinar, but it's hard to teach an anatomy webinar when you know about optimal learning and Luthwaite and Wolf, because you have to include that stuff, the external cues. And I just got a text this afternoon from one of the guys who was on that, took part in that webinar, kid named Charlie Swart, skis in Maryland, that great guy, great ski coach. And he had read their entire, he read the optimal learning paper, like the one they published for peer review. and he wanted to make some comments on it, but it's cool to see that trickle out through. And I'm glad that it worked for you, Michael. Like it got the team skiing real early by focusing on stuff that wasn't internal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. That was the goal. And part of it, I got to be honest, I mean, the idea of using, I'm still figuring this optimal stuff out and that information and finding out where it fits and belongs, because so part of it I got lucky and part of it was planned. I'll take 51% of the planned and 49% of the lucky. And then you leave it in the hands of teammates. And the last thing you need to do is, I mean, they got plenty of fuel. You just got to provide a spark, and they got all the fuel to take it 1,000 different ways. But it worked, and it was great. It was a good week. I feel like everybody got better, learned about each other, and excelled. So sorry to cut you off there, Angelo.
No, I just, before we go any farther, because you've mentioned the team and you've mentioned Interski, I just wonder if you could give your elevator speech to a listener, either a member or a non-member who may not know a whole lot about what the team is and what Interski is.
Sure. What are you doing for the next hour and a half.
Elevator speech. It's only a 30-story building, man. And you're already up to floor 8 now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And one elevator goes even numbers, and the other goes odds.
Right.
What happened? What was the question?
I don't remember.
Perfect.
What's the team and what's Interski?
Well, our job, I mean, it's the Alpine team, along with, well, all of the what is called now the national team, which has an Alpine discipline, a telemark discipline, a cross-country discipline, a snowboard discipline, and an adaptive discipline. Our job is to be educators of great instruction, ski and snowboard instruction around the country, and to kind of represent, maybe set and establish the values and philosophies that we as an organization hold and hang our hats on, whether that be the learning connection model, the skills concept, people skills, teaching fundamentals, Alpine fundamentals, whatever technique, depending on the discipline, and start to establish those thoughts. And then those thoughts are something that we spend time on the road with the 20 or 30, 31,968 people besides the 12 people that listen to this. That's your joke.
He gave us one extra. Usually it's 11.
That dude unsubscribed from the YouTube channel. It's 10. We're down to 10.
10 now.
But set a direction for education and for ski technique within our country. And then represent that not only to our membership, but also abroad. And one of those events abroad is a thing called Interski. And Interski used to be, long time ago, it was a marketing venture. Whoever won Interski and demonstrated the best ski technique and teaching philosophies in centralized Europe got tourism dollars. And if the Austrians could say that they won, then people would go to Austria for vacation. If the French said that they won, then people would go to France. So that's what it started out as a long time ago. And then over time, as the world got smaller and information got better and teaching strategies got better, it became an educational compare information too. You could travel just as easy to Austria as you could to France or to Germany or Italy. It didn't really matter. So it was a place where you could go and kind of show your belief system or your philosophy, and then compare it to another countries. And if there was something good from another country, see if you could assimilate that idea into your own philosophy or your own system or your own methodology. And this happened every 4 years as a way to just to say, hey, look, you know what? This is how I skin a cat. How do you skin a cat? And see which one works, which one didn't. There might be something that I grabbed from, maybe not. It's that idea of sharing is all over our philosophy, from whether it be from from a Central European or the Norwegians or the Swedes. I mean, there's all kinds of examples of that taking place. We'd have to do another 5 podcasts here to get into that. But then over time, it became the synchronized skiing competition, where that became the important part, where the education started to drop, and the synchronized skiing, the formation skiing, the ski instructors in a GS course. I mean, really, who wants to see that? It's like seeing 50-year-old men in speed suits. It's just, you're better off just not reading the book and let your own imagination do it. So it became that, and then it got away from education. But now it is very much back to an exchange of information. There are workshops, there are lectures, there are keynote lectures. There's some demonstration formation skiing for sure. And it's a great exchange of information from other countries. And we can participate. Our membership can go. The next one is next year in Finland in March. And you can participate as a delegate from the U.S. Interski and go to all of the workshops and go to all of the lectures and go to all of the on snow stuff and be a part of 99% of it. And it's really cool to spend time, again, just, what you do in Western Pennsylvania, Angelo, and your staff, but when you get to chat, you get to compare that to what somebody does in the high Alps of the Arlberg, or in the shadow of the Mont Blanc. It's pretty cool to see what is similar and what's different, and to again, it makes us as a country and as a team define and decide what our message is, so that it then can be brought not only to Interski, but more importantly, it then dictates and drives content for our membership. And there's a difference here. And I know that I'm running on, you probably got more questions, but
no, I'm liking this.
One of the things that lots of countries will do is they'll have one-off workshops. Like we decided that we're going to do a study on a snowplow turn versus a parallel turn for beginners. And we did a study that says that 92%, blah, 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 whatever, were more successful at a basic parallel or at a parallel entry into skiing, or direct parallel, or a wedge or a snowplow entry. And they'll have us studies, and those are really good. They're fun. Different from that, we try and perpetuate a message that instead of preparing a message for Interski, we try and prepare and perpetuate information and message for our membership. And then that gets presented at Interski. And that's a little bit different way of going about it. And I feel that it's really good because we perpetuate a message. Like we came out with the skiing fundamentals a bunch of years ago, and those were the new thing that we were going to talk about at Interski. But we were also going to introduce a difference between people skills and teaching skills. And that was in Ushuaia, where we started this conversation. And then in Bulgaria, we were able to explain how a little bit further down the road we are. Now we're going to go back to Finland and give information about where we've gotten to in this idea. So instead of having one-off things that are just a topic, like the science of snow crystallization with wax preparation and space structure, and how fast it works, or that aerodynamics is not a determining factor in giant slalom skiing. It's a message. There's always going to be a message about ski technique. There's always going to be a message about our people skills, and there's always going to be a message about our teaching skills at this point, because it's still all under development at different stages of that development. And when you can perpetuate a message, I feel like it sets the next team up for success.
It seems to me definitely there's an evolution of where the team, and I could be wrong here, that's why I'm asking. When I first came into the membership as a member back in the early 90s, mid 90s, and Interski wasn't as big a thing as it is for you guys now, and as the team, the crew, last time I think it was really neat that you put out all the women on the team had a ski at the last Interski, and things like that. And it just seems like you're using Interski to really launch things that you're already doing here in the US, or you're using it as a vehicle for, okay, what are we doing next as a team? What are we going to do for our membership? And then what are we going to bring for Interski next? Because that was talking about the people skills, teaching skills. You posed that question as a team at one of the Interskis.
Yeah, we asked we went on a fact-finding mission of what other countries think makes a great ski instructor. What is it that makes a great ski instructor? And out of that came a bunch of information that we took back and said, well, wait a minute, there's some differences here. Some of it is about teaching, and that became our teaching fundamentals. But there's some other things that might be about your emotional intelligence and how you interact with people, and that could be different. And as we picked around a little bit more and more and more, we found out that clearly, yes, for us, the way that we look at things, there is a little bit of a difference there. So we then made that change of that statement that says there's difference, and it doesn't seem like much. I said this to all of us, the Alpine group, going into Argentina that, it might not seem like much right here, right now, as we get started. Right, we're going to start right here, and we're just going to start the goal is to get over there, but right here, there's just a little bit of difference. This is road construction and civil engineering 101. If you're a half a degree off here, the further down the road you go, things start to go, they're noticeably different. And I feel like that's where we are. We're quite a ways down this road, and some people have done some amazing work. I mean, the task forces that are out there, that Matt Boyd is heading up. I'd get them all. I would forget somebody's name, and I don't want to do that. But the teaching task force and the people skills task force that Ann Shorling and Brian Smith and Josh Fogg and Robin Barnes with Matt Boyd, and there's a whole bunch that I'm going to miss. So I don't want to. I'm going to skip everybody versus just leave out one person. But that work that they're doing is unbelievable. I mean, it is amazing, and it really, really, really can help us be better educators of snow sport, and just better educators in general, and therefore not only better. I feel like it's going to help us be better educators. Like our to use a popular term, our output is going to improve and get better, but also our input, our ability to be students at other things because of our understanding, I feel like is really also going to help. I mean, I know that I'm a better student in golf lessons because of my understanding of what a good lesson is like, and what good social interaction is like, and how to cue things. And if I don't get it from my coach, I can get it from myself, so that I can turn that information into something that I can then try and perform better. So it's outstanding. And Dave Schuling, I mean, that guy is a workhorse for our organization and deserves 12 times more credit than he's going to get. But the work that he's done with Pete Allison and in Penn State is just the stuff that is going on, and with the task forces. I mean, it is. I hope word gets past the 11 people that are listening to the three of us here tonight, because it's outstanding.
And how much of this is because I think of some of the people who've been on the team for a while, yourself and Robin and Matt and Jeb have been there, and Jonathan's been on there a few terms. He's going to third or fourth term now.
Yep.
And there's got to be an evolution. And I know you've talked about it a little bit. I think in our last podcast last year, you talked about the evolution of a team member. I know you wanted to talk about that tonight, because part of my thought process was, as you go into training, how much is there an evolution, and how does the team members' roles evolve, and how does it work into this stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, there's a tremendous. Hang on, before we get there, Angelo, did that answer that go too far off the base as far as what Interski was and what it was all about?
No.
Okay, good.
That was right on.
All right, perfect. Yeah. There is an evolution of a team member, I think. I can remember having, when I first made the Alpine team in '96, I can remember talking with Megan Harvey about how many terms she wanted to try out for. And we had this discussion about, I always felt that it was kind of there are no term limits. There has been talk of term limits. Probably talk of term limits when my name comes up, because I don't seem to go away. But I feel like I'm still contributing. So, but there's been talk of that. But I think that the first term as a team member, again, before we named this group in Breckenridge in the spring, 24 hours later, your name gets put on a sheet of paper, and you become a representative of the organization, and you haven't changed as a person, and your knowledge hasn't necessarily changed, and we all still get nervous and jittery and antsy, and question our confidence at times if a clinic is going well or not going well, particularly not going well, or you just don't seem to connect. So I feel like this conversation with Megan was, it seems like there might be a three-term kind of evolution, where the first term you're feeling yourself out. You're just kind of getting comfortable in your own skin and gaining some confidence, being representing what it is you represent. And sometimes that pressure is unfairly placed upon you. And then the second term, you really start to understand your role within the job and the organization, and you really start to blossom. And then the third term is one where you're the one that is now comfortable, and you got to help somebody else feel comfortable. Somebody who's there for the first term. And every single time that there's turnover amongst the team, you lose a person like a Heidi Ettlinger or a Jennifer Simpson or an Eric Lipton or a Dave Lyon, who are in places legendary status and iconic within our organization. Everybody knows them. People can't wait to ski with them. But you gain somebody like a Zoe Mavis or George and Bart Flynn, or Troy Walsh, Kevin Jordan, or a Mike Hafer. But you gain somebody like that who are just, Troy Walsh, since you guys are based out of the East, Troy Walsh is in and of himself is wonderfully regarded in the Eastern Division. I'd like to think so. I hope so.
Yes.
If he's
Very
not,
much so.
If he's not, he better be, because he's that good. So Troy, at an event like the Masters Academy, people have known, they've taken clinics from Troy. They know how unbelievably good Troy is. And Troy, it's great for us as an organization to have somebody like Troy representing us as a part of the national team now, to have a bigger audience maybe, and to go see other parts of the country and then bring that information back to the East Coast. That's where the growth is going to be. But when somebody like the Bart Flynn shows up, or a Kevin Jordan shows up, that you don't know, and they're there as a national team member. Nobody knows them, but they know who Robin Barnes is. Well, everybody, the tendency is to want to gravitate towards Robin because that's a known commodity. And you've skied with them before. You've got friends that have skied with them before, so it's going to be something. But I can tell you that whether it be Bart Flynn or George Flynn or Mike Hafer is back on the team, so he's been at Masters Academy, so you got to know what that is, or Zoe Mavis or Kevin Jordan. When you have somebody who's new, boy, it's awfully good to get behind those people and help them become successful, because Dave Merriam was not the Dave Merriam that everybody knows and loves on his first academy or his first clinic as a team member, especially not out of the East Coast. He was a level 3 certified instructor. He wasn't an examiner. Nobody expected Dave Merriam to make the team. And lo and behold, he did, because he had something special. And people allowed that specialness to come out, and then to support it, and then to help them polish it, and then to refine it, so that Dave Merriam was able to become Dave Merriam. Sean Smith was the same way. I was certainly the same. We're all the same way. It had Murmur Blakesley. She was that same person that go through those challenges. And as we move close to the Masters Academy and you interact with new team members, I feel like it's a little bit of our job to make sure that we keep, prodding them up. And it's not to stroke an ego by any stretch of the imagination, but let's help them be successful, because our job is to help you be successful. And that's when there's a really great, memorable event, is when I help somebody else be successful. And then if somebody else can help me be successful, then I appreciate that. And then, one hand washes the other, and a rising tide floats all boats. And we have new team members coming out, and we have expanded team. It's not just the Alpine side, it's the Tele side. It's on the cross country side. Emily and Zeke and Thule. It's on the adaptive side. and on the snowboard side. So as new team members come out there, it's important to help them be successful by not stroking their egos, but supporting them and making sure that that if we trip up, which we're going to do, you do it from shoulder to shoulder and not face to face. And we grow and learn, and then everything gets better. And again, the floating tide raises all boats. So, as we go out onto the road in the season, we start to encounter more and more new team members as membership. Let's support each other in that role of all of us getting better, so that we can help you all get better. I mean, that's kind of the goal there. So that's enough. That's probably enough of my.
Well, no, I'm going to ask for a little more because kind of a leading question, but when we look at training, is going to start at the home mountains, and Angela and I both have led and continue to lead training at our home mountains here in the East Coast, up at Attitash and Wildcat, also with Tim Gilbert, who helps me out there. He runs most of the day-to-day stuff up there. Angela's been doing it down Southwest PA. How can our training managers, training coordinators here in the East and everywhere in the U.S. take more of this idea and support people? Like how should we be setting up some of our training, not necessarily the particulars of what technical stuff to work on, but when it comes to our people skills, teaching skills, is there some thoughts you have on saying, hey, think about this when you're setting up your training for your home mountain staffs to set people up for success and support them?
Yeah, I think a conversation that we often have is talking about outcomes. And I feel like that if you consider defining some outcomes and then striving to them. For example, a student comes to a ski lesson and they don't necessarily come to a ski lesson. This is a conversation that Robin and I had a couple of on the travel back from training, is that I don't know if people come to ski lessons to learn how to hold their hands in front of them. I really don't. I feel like they come to ski lessons to control their speed better, or to go faster, or to go slower, or to be better at either a condition that exists at their home mountain all the time, or go to a new condition. And I feel like those are the types of things that people want to learn. And if they leave a lesson going, well, I learned how to keep my hands in front of me, I think we missed the boat. And I feel like in training, when it comes to teaching, you can establish some with the staff, with your staff or a staff, whatever it is. Why do people come? Why is this person coming to a lesson? And talk about it often, before the lesson, after the lesson, during the lesson. Kind of debrief it with the coach. I don't think people are coming to a lesson to learn how to hold their hands in front of them. I think they're coming to a lesson to learn how to turn a little better, control their speed a little better, change the direction a little quicker or slower, manage a condition. One of the things that we do from a mechanical, technical technique point of view is to work on holding your hands up. But we should always relate things to that outcome of wanting to go slower or go faster or control your speed or control your direction or try a new pitch or a different challenge, and not get too caught up with making the lesson about, well, you got to hold your hands forward. That you look at that in the fundamentals. Do you really need to work on fundamental number 3? Well, first of all, there is no order. There was never meant to be an order. We had to put things in order. So anybody that thinks that there should be an order in certain divisions or certain areas, they seem to take an order. But I would say, depending on your outcome, that order could shift or twist or shuffle. But it's the application of that fundamental. Like, fore and aft, moving along the length of the ski is important, but don't go out and work on moving along the length of the ski. Utilize moving along the length of the ski as a way to ski powder better, or handle moguls better, or make a better short turn. so that becomes, slowing down or speeding up or handling a stitch or a flatter section of the trail. Make it about real life outcomes, about what people are. I feel like people really come to a lesson for versus, boy, I really need to really work on the overall magnitude of my pressure. Okay, yes, you might need to, but it's probably because you want to ski moguls, or Vermont just got a foot of new snow, or Pennsylvania, or I'm going out to Big Sky, Montana for the academy, and I've never skied in spring conditions that are that deep. Well, okay, then we're going to deal with dealing with the overall magnitude of pressure, but that's not what you came to the lesson for. And I feel like if you could train that way, if you take a little bit of that thought process into training, I feel like goals would meet a little bit better from a trainer and training to a student.
Go ahead, Angelo.
That's sorry, that was my phone that rang. That's inappropriate.
I didn't even hear it. I just knew
cool.
You had something. You're smiling. Whenever you're smiling, yeah.
Because my phone rang. Shit. No, I just think it's cool, and and it touches back on what you were saying a bit ago about the evolution of the people skills from the teaching skills, like teasing out these people skills. And it's like the opposite of final forms. It's actually listening to what somebody says when they come up to you and they say, I want to keep up with my kids, and they're coming out there and they're telling you they want to go faster. Like, that's basically what they're telling you. And then we tell them to get their hands up and make a bigger wedge. So we slow them down and make them look like Frankenstein.
Better example than I could come up with, Angelo. Example than I could come up with.
I've been thinking about it for a while, but what I'm saying. Like it's about actually hearing and knowing the people that you're working with. They'll come out and they'll tell you what they want, and then But if you have that stock go-to, this is how I do it. This is how I've always done it. It just ain't it.
And we still need to know the technical stuff. But we need to know, we as the instructor need to know what goes into being able to keep up with my kids, or being able to slow my kid down, or being able to slow down. Or we need to know that stuff. But I don't know if that always needs to come out in the marquee of lesson content. You can get to it, but
sneak it in there.
Yeah, or make it about the outcome. I want to keep up with my kids, so this is what turn shape needs to look like. Yeah. You want to go faster? Okay, go straight.
Yeah.
Turn Stu Campbell. Thank you, Stu. Turn downhill to go fast, turn uphill to go slow.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
We got to write that down. Good thing we're recording. We can write it down later.
We can watch it again and again.
Watch it again and again.
Hey, our views keep going up. That's because Dave keeps watching that one with Rogan again.
That's right. I just watched that same one, man. It's up there over 1,000, but I've watched it like 1,001. So when I get bored, but you kind of answered my next question, but I know you'll be able to probably put a little there. I mean, I was asking you. You've traveled around. You kind of talked about it with Interski. You talked about it with Team Evolution. Troy's been here in the East, and now Troy's going to be traveling around the country a little bit more, going to Interski next year. So with all the experiences as the coach, I think you already gave us your answer right there, what to focus on in training. But I was kind of asking, what is the big thing that we as a teaching country, or what ski instruction in the US or maybe in different zones. I don't know if you feel it's different in different regions of the country, but I was curious as to what we really needed to work on as a group to get better. And I'm wondering if what you just told us to focus on in training is probably it, or is there more to it? I mean, I'm curious if you think our visual image as a group that we put out on the hill is where it should be, or should that be improved?
Well, look, that can always be improved. And I will be the first to say that I will point the finger looking in the mirror. There's always work that can be done from a consistency and predictability point of view. We all have the things that we gravitate towards. I think different divisions within the US have certain style to it. What you find in Mammoth Mountain, California, and what you find in WISP, are going to be a little bit different. It's inherent in the terrain. If you have skiing that is generally hard snow in nature versus soft snow, there's some basic differences. If you have hills that are long and steep versus short and not as steep, there's just some basic ways that we all ski the ski area that were around in similar ways. I feel like, trying to figure some of those out and breaking those molds is a good thing. Let's see. I can remember going to Boston Mills and Brandywine. Loved the place. Had a wonderful time. They have a run called Tiger. It's their steepest run. It's right in front of the base lodge. But was it Tiger? Was it Boston? Anyway, could have been a Welch or something. There's a run over at Welch that's pretty steep. And we went for a clinic and off we went down Welch. And we were told, hey, you can't take your warm-up run down that run. We never take a warm-up run down that run. Okay, let's take a warm-up run down that run. I mean, that's the type of, when we do a pattern breaker themed academy or workshop at the academy, elective in the afternoons. And it's just that, just to recognize your patterns. We all do it. We all ski the same trails, the same way by ourselves. We make the same turns in the same spot. We go up the same lifts, go over here because that's good snow and that's not a side hill. I feel like we talked about this in a different, a year or so ago, but just breaking some of those podcasts. But as an organization, yeah, I feel like we can always work on precision, accuracy. I mean, those are two things that Bruno Gabetta beat into me at Pico way back when: precision, accuracy. We can all work on our transitions being consistent and predictable. But then again, we also need to work on the playful side of things and the fun side of things, that we don't become connected to or too focused on looking like a thing. It's just not going to happen. I mean, it could happen if we wanted to take our exam criteria and standards and our exam board of our examining body across the country and lop about 90% of that off, and you had 25 people that gave exams around the country, you could get pretty consistent as far as what is expected pretty quickly. But that might not be the right. That's an answer. It would work. But I don't know if that's an answer that everybody wants to know or hear or think about. That are best for consistency point of view, transparency. Our one of our best foot forwards could be to just not have 90% of the examiners that we have, not because they're bad, but because with that amount of people, it gets again, just a little bit of a variance suddenly goes a long way, and it's hard to train 1,500 examiners where it's really easy to be consistent with 25. I mean, the telephone game works that way. That's why it's the telephone game. You got right. A fewer people, and the message gets easier. And then from that's from a technical point of view. Adaptation, adaptability, versatility. Those are big things for me at our tryouts in the springtime, national team tryouts. Precision, accuracy, adaptability, versatility. Scott Mathers was famous saying at an academy one time, if you can't do it, you ought to be able to. So as staff, as whether it be education staff or their general membership, precision and accuracy, adaptability, versatility, predictability, consistency. Those are all broad stroke things that I feel like can always get worked on within our ski. Yeah. Always.
Yeah. Awesome. That kind of leads right in, Angelo. If we think about part one here, and because we want to talk about the new standards rollout and a little bit of how the learning connection model fits into that. And then we have some other fun questions along some equipment stuff, because I can't do a podcast with Michael Rogan and not ask about some equipment and some things you do with it. Because that's just, I want to make sure I know, because I know you do a lot more to your equipment than I do. I like taking them out of the wrapper, throwing them down, and seeing if they actually perform before I do anything to them. But we'll chat about that in part 2.
I do part of that as well. I'm just prepared that if they don't work, that I go in and tinker.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we're just gonna take a short break, but you guys won't notice because you can just hit part 2 when we load it up. But this is the Fall Line with Chaos and Company, and we want to make sure we send a shout out to our sponsors with Blizzard Technica helping us out, the friends of the podcast, and also Nick's Boot Fitting over at Mount Snow. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fall Line with Chaos and Company.